Welcome back to the Fit Dad Club podcast. My name is Travis Jones and I am here to help you today become the best version of you and close the gap between where you are to where you want to be with your health, fitness, and life. Now, today's a solo podcast. Jace has done his back in, so he is rehabilitating at home. So I will be doing this podcast and going through 10 things that I've had to tell my clients this week during coaching calls. So you get a bit of a behind the scenes and you may be going through some of this as well. So it can give you insights on how to deal with any common issues whilst you're trying to move forward, to break through the fat loss plateaus or break through, the nagging complacency that could be holding you back. We're going to talk about how to deal with traveling, how to get back on track, how to become the best version of you. Just little things that get in the way when you're trying to go from fat to fit. Now, we'll list them off and we'll go through it one by one. As always, if you need help with getting from where you are to where you want to be and you need a coach, go to fit-dad.club and jump and book in a call and we can talk about how we can help you become the best version of you. Now, the first thing, one of my calls this week is one of my clients is traveling and he's going across to Vegas for the week. So, he's like, what should I be doing with my training? I don't have the exact gym that I'm going towards. Maybe I'll just go and run on the strip, not the strip club, down at on the strip in Vegas. And we're having a bit of a chat. So what we talked about is just creating a simplified plan whilst he's away for work for the week, because he's away for a conference. So anyone out there who also is traveling from work, what we want to do is we want to try and create minimum standards. He's given up alcohol at the end of last year. So I would say if you can, try and decrease your alcohol consumption. That's the biggest thing. It's easy for him this week because he's not drinking. But for yourself, if you are trying to become the best version of yourself and you're going away for a week for work, maybe you can minimize your drinks. Go towards a vodka and soda and every other drink that you do have when you're out. For your work conference, just have a soda water and no one knows the difference. It doesn't matter. Just alternate between vodka sodas and sodas. Have, 3 vodka sodas across the night and have 3 sodas across the night and everyone's good. Now, for him, it was easy. We had an easy plan with his alcohol. That was none. With his training, because he doesn't know the exact gym. There's a lot of great hotel gyms out there. But what we looked at is his running, because he's training for a half marathon coming up. And he was like, I want to get some kilometers in. I said, well, 1 week's not going to kill you, but we still want to get the kilometers up. And he doesn't like running on treadmill. So I said, the easiest thing for you to do, rather than going on the strip, because there's going to be a lot of stop-start, because he's staying in a hotel down there, and there's a lot of people on the strip, and it's a bit smoggy, and it's not the best. I said, just let's use the hotel gym. Chuck your phone in front of you, chuck on YouTube or chuck on Netflix, and just watch an episode every single morning, because when you're away, our keystone habits for a lot of males, or the keystone habit for a lot of males, is their fitness. It's their training. And if we get our training done first, you don't have kids when you're away on a work trip, and that was a big thing. It's like, mate, it doesn't matter if you get 5 hours or you get 8 hours of sleep. You get up first thing in the morning, you splash water on your face, you have black coffee, and you head down to the gym. Now, you need to create this morning routine. And you're going to run for 30 minutes. You're going to watch an episode because I don't like running on treadmills because the time passes so slowly. I was like, chuck your favorite show on, put it in front of you. Let's just roll the legs over for 30 minutes every single day. So if he doesn't want to stick to his half marathon training plan, which has 3 scheduled runs next week, I want you to do just a minimum of 30 minutes of running every single day, because you don't know how you're going to feel when you are away on work conference. There is a lot of chaos going on. So it's an if, when, then. If I don't feel like going towards my plan, then I'm just going to run for 30 minutes because it's going to give his endorphins kicked in. He's going to feel fantastic. And then he has an alternating EMOM plan just for 20 minutes at the end of it. So it's like one day is lower body, one day is upper body. He doesn't have to think. He just has to use some dumbbells. He has some chest presses for 15 reps on minute 1, on the odd minute, even minute. He's got some bent over rows for 15 reps, go back and forth for 10. He has some curls. He has some tricep extensions, back and forth for 10 minutes. Upper body done for him for one day. It's a very no-brainer approach to training while you're away, because you know that you can still get between 2 reps from failure, even if they don't have super heavy dumbbells. There's going to be a lot of volume through his muscles and he's going to pump it out. So that was with him with his training. He's doing that first thing in the morning. After that, we want to go, because he doesn't have all the choice with his food, all he's doing in the morning is either he's going to have a whey protein shake and water, or he's going to have an omelet, okay, without the toast, okay? So he's just going to hit some protein up first thing in the morning. He's having an omelet or a protein shake first thing. At the conference, he's going to stay away from all the muffins and pastries and everything like that. And he's going to go towards a protein and salad-based lunch, because there's normally like a bit of a buffet we're saying there. So he's just going to stick to a salad-based lunch with a double protein serve. So he's going to make sure he gets that 30 grams of protein at breakfast. He's going to have about 40 grams of protein at lunchtime. And then he has his dinner time. So with his dinner time, we know we've got some carbohydrates up our sleeve because it's going to be harder for him to track. He's going to be going out a lot for dinner for the conference. So I told him, like, in a group of people, there's always, where everyone goes, oh, where do you want to go? I was like, just be the person who makes the decision. Rather than going back and forth, like be the person who's like, yep, this is where we're going to go tonight, boys, and choose the restaurant. So I'm like, just pick 5 restaurants before you go out and go, these are the 5 restaurants we're going to go to. And that day it's like, hey, we're going to go to this place. He's going to go out there with a bunch of people who love food. So he's going to choose, he's going to pre-plan what he's going to have. He's going to have at least 200 grams of a protein source. He's going to have a cup of carbohydrates, so whether that be rice or potatoes, and he's going to have a serve of vegetables, and that's his dinners. So we've got his breakfast sorted, he's got his lunches sorted, he's got his dinners sorted. And I told him, if he gets hungry throughout the day, go get 5 packets of jerky. He gets to have a packet of jerky each day throughout the day if he gets snackish while everyone else is eating pastries and muffins, and just buy 10 pieces of fruit. So across 10 apples. So I'm telling you right now, if you're having 2 apples and a packet of jerky as a snack, you're definitely not going to be hungry. And it's going to be about 300 calories. And so you're going to get some good fiber, some good carbohydrates, you've got some protein in there, and you're going to be full. And you're not going to feel sluggish, you're not going to feel low. And we also said in the mid-conference, just go for a walk throughout the day, because motion equals emotion. A lot of the time you get tired inside these conferences, you get down, your frequency decreases, and there's a coping mechanism towards that. We want to try and get something sweet to give us a pick-me-up. Instead, black coffee, go for a walk, and it's going to get your energy up. So that was call number 1. Just give him a detailed and dialed-in plan of what he's going to do when he's away. Client two is, back on the running journey. He's had a couple of knee operations last year, and he had a bit of an issue with his hip. So, in the past, when an operation happened, he's gone forward and he's actually trained quite well where he could, but we've had a couple of times where he's lost his 20 kilos, he might have gained 5, and we've had to, inch our way back down. So for him, we sort of, before an injury happens with a flare-up, we said, don't stress. We're going to decrease your calories, a couple of 100 calories, because our output's going to be down, because he's decreased about 60 Ks of running per week because he's trying to deal with this injury. We're moving him towards the ski erg for some upper body cardio. So instead of doing our running, we've shifted towards the ski erg to keep his conditioning up. So some long and some sprints with the ski erg. We've dialed in his upper body training instead. So we're just doing a push rather than a 3 full bodies. We're doing 3 or 4 body workouts throughout the week. We're doing a push, pull. So he's increasing his frequency with his upper body. And we can change the focus slightly for the next 4 weeks. It's like, let's just focus on increasing our strength through our upper body, focus on rehabilitating the lower body, keep our cardiovascular up with our ski erg, and just dial in our calories just slightly under where they are, because his energy output's going to be a little bit less. So that means his energy input has to be a little bit less to make sure we're maintaining the results he currently has. And then as we rehab him out of this small injury, he's going to come straight back into the plan. Maybe a little bit of bigger bicep, definitely would have put any weight on, his cardiovascular would have maintained, and he can hit the ground running again after it. So that was client 2. And we're looking at client 3. Someone was a bit complacent, right? So even with the coach, sometimes people tend to, they start to justify poor behaviors. You're moving away from, the worst version of you that you were when you sign up and start coaching. You've lost like 15 kilos. You start to feel a bit better. You're not in pain, but you're not at your goal. And we start to feel a bit complacent. Our energy isn't up, and we start to make excuses, and we might slip back 3 or 4 kilos. And you're going, what? I don't know. I don't know if I can fit the training in. Snacking a little bit more. I'm getting the chocolate bars. I don't know if this is, worth it. I think I'm happy with where I'm at. Then we start to say we're happy with where I'm at, because I'm not saying you can't be happy, but you're saying it's too hard. Okay. There's a difference. Okay. if I could give you the abs and I could give you the fitness that you said your goal was, and I could snap my fingers, would you want it? If the answer is yes, you do want it, then you aren't happy with where you're at. That means you do want that goal. The thing that's stopping you is the work. So instead, we had a bit of a chat about, mate, all it is you don't want to do the hard anymore. So the discomfort was a little bit too great and the old behaviors were slipping back in. Now, when we look at this, the more you let the old behaviors slip in, the fat dad version of you, the more and more they will slip in. And the more and more you change the trajectory of going towards fit dad and you start to flatline it again, we start to change the trajectory back towards fat dad. And, within a year or two, you would have put that 15 kilos back on and we're back to square one. When the reality is we want to lean into the discomfort. We choose the harder now so our life isn't hard in the long term. So yeah, getting up early and training is harder than sleeping in. Getting up and like pushing the weights is harder than scrolling your phone. Like saying no to the extra beer is harder than having the beer, right? Of course it's harder. But we're choosing the harder option right now so we don't have the long-term hard in our life. We don't have the hard of not being able to play with our kids, or we can't play with our grandkids. We don't have the harder this summer coming up where we don't feel comfortable taking our top off down the beach, or we don't go down the beach at all. We don't want to take photos with our family because we feel like we're embarrassed with how we look. I know so many people have said that to me. It's like, so we want to choose the harder option now so we don't have the harder option later. So either way, there is an uncomfortable feeling in your life. There's the uncomfortable feeling of doing the work, or there's the uncomfortable feeling of not doing the work and having the byproduct, which is your health and your aesthetics, from not doing the work. And you just have to choose what discomfort you want or what sacrifice you want. You're going to sacrifice the time and effort right now to put it in, or you sacrifice feeling great in the future because you just want to sleep in and snooze. And understanding that, I reminded him, like you started out, you want to be a role model for your kids. Right? Role models don't give up. When it's tough, role models dig deep. And I asked my son, he's like, he said to me the other day, would you like he was talking about superheroes, and he was saying his favorite superhero was Batman because he had so much courage, right? And it's having the, and so many of our kids look up to these superheroes because they're brave, because they're strong, and because they're courageous. And that's the ideals that we want to try and be for our kids. We want to be the superhero to them. We want to be courageous. We want to have integrity with our word, right? That's what superheroes have. If they say they're going to do something, they do it, right? They are strong to protect and save their family. You want to be the strong model. You want to be the courageous person. You want to be the integral person who said, I'm going to smash this and I'm going to lift the weights. I'm going to do the diet. I'm going to get into the best shape of my life. And that's it. You stay true to your word for yourself and your family, because that is the superhero dad that you are and that you are becoming. They don't put it off. They don't get complacent. They choose the harder option now, so they can have a less hard life in the long term. So they can have the energy to play with their kids. They can run the 5s and 10s and plus kilometers as they get older, and they can train with their kids as they grow up to have that bonding time. I have 2 boys, so obviously that's a little bit different for me and the girls, but maybe you're training with the girls in the gym. Who knows? It's up to you. Whatever you're doing, it's understanding that if you're not the role model, that strong role model in their life, they're going to look for other role models. And I asked him on the conversation, do you want to be the role model to your son, or do you want him to look up to someone else towards his health and fitness and how he should be living his life? Or are you going to give him bad traits and bad character traits with the way that you're approaching your health and fitness? And would you like him to adopt those so he's 20, 30 kilos overweight when he's older and feels like you did when you first started? And he said no, and it was a bit of a slap in the face, stare in the mirror conversation. He's back on track. So sometimes, it is just having someone hold that mirror up to you and go, you know what? You can be better. Yes, it is hard. It's hard for everyone, but it's in the hard and in the journey where we start to forge that self-respect. And that means we're leading a less hard life in the long term. when we're looking at this, told another client this week that life is tough, and it kind of molds in because, he's going through a couple of things. Life's tough, but it can be tougher. Okay. I think sometimes we catastrophize, right? We get so ingrained into our own problems. So he's looking at all the problems. It's like, oh, why is this happening to me? The world's, closing against me. This happened, and then I lost this, and then work's stressful, and then my wife's doing this. And he was just having a bit of a bitch about stuff, saying, a woe is me mentality, thinking that, he's hard done by. When in reality, everyone has their own version of hard. Yeah, some people are doing it harder and tougher than others, but you can't. We all have our own version of hard. And for you, that hard is there for you to become the next best version of you. So yes, life is hard. Or would you no one would want to pick or walk a day in someone else's shoes, because, say I walked in your shoes and that was harder than mine. I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to complain about my day anymore. Okay. If someone walked in my shoes, they wouldn't be complaining about their day. I think we all have to stop worrying about how hard our life is versus how easy someone else is, and just worry about ourselves. We just have to focus on our hard or our toughness, but understand that we have the power to overcome the hard. We have the power to overcome the obstacle that's standing in front of us right now, because that obstacle is there to challenge us. It challenges our skill level. It challenges our attitude. It challenges our effort. And if we can go, well, what is this challenge trying to teach me? Or what do I need to learn? Or what effort do I have to put in? Or what attitude do I need to bring to this challenge to overcome it? Then all of a sudden, instead of becoming a fixed mindset person, thinking the world is out to get me, and start to catastrophize every little problem and making mountains out of molehills, we start to get curious instead. We start to go, well, this challenge is facing me right now. What skill set or what skill do I need to overcome this challenge? If you currently do have the skill, it's like, well, I just need to apply that skill. And we get curious. Well, if I don't have the skill, who does have the skill to help me? Do I need to hire someone if it's a business related thing? Do I need to read a book if it's a relationship thing? Maybe, not connecting or having proper conversations with your wife. And, maybe that is it. Maybe it's a health thing, and maybe, I just can't fit it all in. Maybe it's a time management problem, so you don't have the skill of time management. So maybe you can ask someone who's great at time management, can you help me structure out my day with my Google Calendar so I can, focus on maybe doing deep work stuff early? Or I'm not a morning person, so I can gain an extra 2 hours in the day if I can just get my ass out of bed on time. How do I do that? So sometimes it's looking at what skill do I need to either develop, or what skill can I hire, or who has the skill to help teach me that skill, or where can I acquire this skill from, whether it be a course or a book. And it's if I have this skill, can I overcome this obstacle? If the answer is yes, then that's what you need. That's all it is. And sometimes it could be a lack of, just as far as any other resources. Life's tough because I don't have this right now. And sometimes we want to model behavior. So someone else is facing the same obstacle that I'm currently facing. So their life must be sort of tough as well, but they seem to have made it through it. Can I ask them and maybe talk to them about it? And yes, man, guys, you have to talk to other men at times, because, we need to have the humility to understand that we don't have all the answers. And I think that is the problem at times. We shut off to the world when times are tough, or our version of tough, and we think we have to just, shut it off and, throw another challenge or obstacle or brick in the backpack and just keep moving forward. And if you do that without talking to anyone to see how they're dealing with their obstacles, then all of a sudden, there'll be a time where you just collapse because you're carrying too many bricks, you're carrying too many problems. When if you had to talk to someone, they could have showed you how to, take a couple of those bricks out of your backpack and how you could have kept going forward. So sometimes we need to look for role models or people who have done what we want to do and go, well, how did they get through that obstacle? And sometimes you'll have to pay to talk to someone who's gone through it because you're buying their advice. Sometimes one of your friends may have been through it, so you don't have to pay them. Just have a coffee and just open up. It's like, this is 2 obstacles that I'm facing right now that's causing my life to be tough. Can you give me any advice? And don't be an asshole. That's someone who asks for advice and doesn't listen to it and just does what they were doing anyway. Actually listen to the person and take their advice and implement it for a week And if it helps, then fantastic. If it doesn't help, then just make another iteration and go again. So we need to get resourceful and look for other people who have been through what we're going through. And that's what I was saying to my clients. Like, everyone has their own version of tough, mate. But have you got curious with the issues that you're currently facing? Because what we need to understand is there is a solution for every single problem. Okay? Don't be the person that has a problem for every solution. So be a solution-orientated seeking person. Get curious about the problem. Who is it around you? Is it a skill acquisition problem, or is it a resource problem that you currently don't have that you need to learn and need someone to help you with? Which one of the two it is? So we isolated the problem, we created a solution, and now we're trying to test that over the next week to decrease the level of tough so he can keep moving forward. So that is the other client this week. There was another one. And, what happened is they were being crazy about the daily weight fluctuations and getting really down on themselves. It's like, I gained a kilo, and they're doing a carb cycling diet at the moment for where they're at in the program inside the method. So, their weight is going to go up. So when we're looking at carb cycling, if your weight will go up and down by a kilo overnight, and they're getting stressed with daily weigh-ins. And they're like, why did I gain a kilo? It's like, well, you didn't gain a kilo of fat. What we look at is we do look at daily weight. But all we want to look at is to make sure we're trending in the right direction. Did we achieve a weekly low? And I said to him, did you achieve a weekly low over the last week? The answer was yes. And I was like, well, if we achieved a weekly low, we know we're trending in the right direction. Now, if we look at the previous 7 days and we add all those weights up and divide it by 7, then we have a weekly average. Is that weekly average lower than the weekly average before that? And his answer was yes. So are we trending in the right direction? Well, the answer is yes, we are. So when we look at the 1 day, sometimes it can be overwhelming and look like we're going backwards. But we step back and look at it over the course of a week. We look at the course of the week over the last week and look at the weekly averages. Are we trending in the right direction? Yes. And I was like, and now if we zoom back again over the last month, what are the results that we've achieved? And bear in mind they had a funeral over the last month, so they were away for a month and had a couple of issues that they were trying to obviously cope with and deal with that hadn't gone through before. So he plateaued for that week. But I'm like, well, you're still down 3.5 kilos over 4 weeks. Is that okay? And even though you've had such a tough week in there, so really it was like 3.5 kilos in 3 weeks of training. That's over a kilo of week. Is that okay? Of course it is, because that was ahead of what we were talking about. So sometimes, again, we go so fixated on the right now that over the last 24 hours, my weight went up by a kilo. And that weight went up by a kilo because he had a high carb day. So his carbs were up, a good 150 grams of carbs from the previous day before that. And then when we look at carbohydrates, every gram of carbohydrate binds to 3 parts water to make glycogen. So it's easy to fluctuate with water weight when you're carb cycling. And he was like, okay, that makes sense. And it's like, we're on the right track. Your weight is going to fluctuate, but we look for, did we hit the weekly low? Yes. Is our weekly average down? Yes. Then take the emotional attachment to the daily weight and look at the weekly weight and look at the trend and the weekly low. And if that's on track, then that's fantastic. If it's not on track, then we just pull the next tool out of the tool belt so we can increase our deficit to keep getting results. So sometimes it's zooming out and helping people understand, yes, we are on track. It's a little bit of education sprinkled in there as well. This is what we're looking for. And then a little bit of just like reassurance that, yeah, you're doing the right thing. A client was nailing it this week. And I just reminded them, sometimes it's good. One of my clients nailing it. He's like 20 kilos down, feeling fucking unstoppable. And it was just simply a reminder, guys, like if you're on track right now, that good work. And all it was is a pat on the back because, focus, consistency, and this is like focused. So deliberate practice. It's not just random shit, but deliberate practice. Like you're focusing on the nutrition that you're doing and deliberate practice by doing the right things every single day. And that consistently doing that, it beats everything. Deliberate practice and focused consistency over a prolonged period of time will achieve the results because that is what's called discipline. Okay. So as you get that deliberate practice in, you do it more and more and more. then you're going to get more and more consistent, and you're changing that identity from fat dad to fit dad. And then over time, you just become fit dad, and that's who you are. So it's just a massive pat on the back to help him understand where he was and where he is now. And the person who he is forging one day at a time is like a sculptor, like Michelangelo when he was sculpting David. He's just every single day, he's just got his little chisel out and he's just sculpting the best version of himself, just one day at a time. So it's just a great pat on the back and a reassurance call there. And one of my clients here, what was he doing? He hit a wall the last few weeks, so we laid down a plan of a minimum performance standards. Some of his poor habits had creeped back in over the last 14 days. And instead, what we have to look at is sometimes we just have to garner and gain momentum again. We need to sort of go, let's not look at everything. Let's look at the minimum performance standards that we want to achieve over the next 14 days so we can gain momentum again. So I don't care if you do 14K steps today and 2K steps tomorrow. Let's just do 8,000 steps every single day. Let's just not even worry about our protein for the next 2 weeks. Let's just stay under our calories for the next 2 weeks. And we made a bit of a plan to stay under our calories. And all I want you to do is I want you to do a 10-minute workout every single day. And we made a bit of a workout. There was a body weight plan and a dumbbell plan. You can choose between the two. And it's just 10 minutes every single day. So you're going to do 8,000 steps a day. You're going to do a workout every single day, and you're going to stay under your calories for the next 2 weeks. So we made a plan that it is impossible for him to fail with, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to build momentum back up, making him feel like he's a winner again. Because when you fall off the plan and you lose momentum, sometimes going back into the deep end and doing what you were doing is tough. And then all of a sudden you do 2 days and you fail again and you feel like a bit of a loser. But if we simplify the plan and we build back momentum again and get you feeling like a winner, the mental game of a transformation, and you start feeling like a rock star again, then you can continue to add that 10% week on week after that. And then winners win, and winners will do more. Losers look for the fastest way to exit. So a loser will go, I can't do this. A winner will go, let's keep doing more and more. So our goal is to make people feel like winners so they want to do more, and then they do more. And then they've got this massive momentum behind them, and it's like they're running with a tailwind. So for him, it was just a bit of a focused plan where we dialed it back in and made sure we had a minimum performance standard so we can gain that momentum back in. I was talking to Jace before this, and he had a couple of clients that he had with his conversations this week. And one of them was, if you're on a program, actually take this shit seriously. One of his clients was just tracking fried fish, burgers, and dim sims and drinking beers every single night. It's like, if you want to change your life, signing up to a program doesn't change your life. If you want to change your life, then you have to change your behaviors you're doing daily. And sometimes it is making it black and white. And it's going, you know what? I'm not going to, I actually talked to one of my clients this week. The month of May, it's like, dude, you're not having chocolate. And sometimes I believe every food's bad, but if you have a binge type addiction to a certain food, it's not good. So we need to cut it cold turkey for a while. So one of my clients is like, we cut chocolate out for the month of May. No sweets as far as a chocolate-based sweet or cake for the month of May. And that's what we did. It's black and white. And sometimes when we're looking at trying to transform yourself, okay, we need to make it a bit more black and white so there's less room for gray. There's less room for, justifications or excuses or blaming. So if we go, you know what, you're not going to have beers for the first 28 days of the program. That can be good. That can be really good for some people to build the mental game and to build the discipline to keep going forward. Maybe it's like we're not having pies. If there's someone that just eats pies all the time, or having Parmas, 6 times a week, or fried food, it's like you're not allowed fried food for the first 28 days. And everyone's program is going to be slightly different based on, their kryptonite habits, because there's some habits that are kryptonite, just like there's some habits that are keystone. And these kryptonite habits, if you do them, they are the domino effect for other poor behaviors. You have 3 beers, then you eat, fried food, then you sleep in because you're too stuffed the next day, then you don't work out, you feel like shit, and the cycle continues. You get sucked into the vortex that is fat. So if we look at what is the kryptonite behavior, and we have to go, okay, well, we're going to take these kryptonite behaviors out of your plan for the next 28 days so they don't cause that domino effect, after 28 days, a lot of the time, they don't have the same power over us that they once did. So that is someone that I would say for one of Jace's clients. Another one is looking at the weight. It's like, I'm weighing myself daily, but it's not moving in the right direction. Like, just weighing yourself, guys, doesn't mean anything. You can't be upset with the results you got with the work you didn't do. Okay, so you can't be upset with the results that you have from the work you didn't do, because if we reflect back over the last 28 days, I weighed myself daily over the last 28 days and I stayed the same or lost a kilo. If we reflect back over the last month, and in the month of April, you only got in 2 workouts a week, maybe you tracked yourself, you tracked your nutrition 3 days, maybe 4 days out of 7. So you have like a 50% tracking record. So 50% compliancy. Who knows what happened over the other days? So if you did a workout, 22% of the days, 23% of the days, okay, maybe 25% of the days, and you tracked your food 50% of the days, that means you worked out for a quarter of the month, you tracked your food for half of the month. Now, if you did that, you can't expect your weight to change, guys, right? The process takes care of the outcome. And if all you're doing is focusing on the outcome, which is focusing on that scale weight, that doesn't take care of the process. That helps us alter what you're doing inside the process, because if you're hitting a plateau, then we can alter what the process is to make sure that you're not hitting a plateau. But if we reflect back and you simply didn't do the work, you can't be upset that the outcome hasn't changed, because the processes and the result and the effort that you put into the program was not in line, is exactly in line with the results that you got. You put in a half-assed effort, you get half-assed results. So you have to sometimes be reminded that if you want to get exceptional results, it comes with exceptional effort. If you want to get great results, it comes with great effort. Remember, consistency wins games. And for us, we want to win the game of health and fitness, so we need to win the game of consistency. And the last one today, number 10. The biggest thing that most people fuck up is they're trying to track their food on the day, right? Okay, what am I going to eat for breakfast? Okay, I just had some eggs on toast. I'll track that now. So you're either tracking whilst you're doing it or you're tracking after it. Now, the problem with tracking after you eat, you had breakfast, then you tracked your food, and it's like, okay, I had eggs on toast, and maybe it was like 300 something calories and 20 grams of protein. And then you had like a stir-fry lunch with rice, and it was like 700 calories and 40 grams of protein. Then you had a shake in the afternoon that you got from Boost Juice, and that was like 500 calories and 25 grams of protein. And all of a sudden, you're looking and you got like, I was tracking after each of my foods. I was eating, maybe had a handful of nuts, another couple of hundred calories. You get to dinner time, and you've got 250 calories left, but you're hungry as all hell, and you go, how am I supposed to hit my calories? I'm still really hungry, but I've only got 250 calories left. Now, if you're tracking after the fact of every single meal, it leads to piss poor planning, right? It gives you a really poor performance, right? So I think with that, you're going to be hungry, or you're just going to overeat and not going to hit your calorie goal, or you're not going to hit your protein goal. Now, the same thing, you can either track before you eat your meal, right? But that's also time consuming and anxiety inducing. Because if every single meal you have to sit there for 10 to 15 minutes trying to figure out what you're going to eat to make sure you stay within your calories, then it's super time consuming, and it's something you don't want to do long term because it's really frustrating, right? And we don't want the process to be frustrating. We want the process to be easy. And we want the process to take you 10 minutes a day of tracking your food. And that's all it should take, 10 minutes a day. So we don't track before each meal. We definitely don't track after each meal, for different reasons. One, for time and anxiety. Two, for you're not going to hit your goals. We want to track the night before. So if it is tonight, and it's being Monday night when this podcast is released, you want to track Monday, you want to track tonight for tomorrow. So you wake up tomorrow knowing exactly what you're going to eat. It's all tracked out ahead of time. You know what your breakfasts are for the week, right? Try and hit the same thing for breakfast every single week. If you're on a run, you have this. If you're eating at home, you have that. Your lunches, if you're eating and you're eating out this week, I'm eating out on Thursday, this is what I'm going to have. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to take these wraps for lunch, and Friday I'm going to have a wrap as well. So your lunches are planned. They're all going to be planned out. You know exactly what you're going to do. Whether you make them ahead of time or not, you've already planned out what the calories are for tomorrow. You know you're going to have a wrap with chicken for lunch. You know you're going to have you're taking some protein powder to work, and you're going to have maybe an apple and some almonds with that in the afternoon. You know you're going to have, a omelet in the morning, and that's your goal. You know tomorrow night that you got some steak, some sweet potato fries, and some broccoli, and it's all tracked ahead of time. So, your partner never asks you, what do you want to eat for dinner? And you never ask them, what do they want to eat for dinner? It's all just planned. We're eating what we planned and we tracked. And it means food shopping's easy because food shopping can get done ahead of time. It means it's budget friendly, because you're not having food wastage. It means you don't have to order Uber Eats because you can't be asked cooking that night, because you don't want to go out and have the mental frustration of deciding what to eat. So you just go and default back to really poor quality options. So the biggest thing is, guys, pre-track your food the night before, and it leads to 1, you hitting your goals. 2, to you making sure that you aren't having anxiety inside the food decision. 3, it saves time, right? We don't want to be wasting our time looking at that. We want to be spending that time instead reading to our kids at night before they go to bed and helping them and having some quality time with your partner. We should be taking about 10 minutes every night, and that's all it should take to track your food. And that is the 10 questions. Obviously, we have so many other calls throughout the week. Some are fantastic. Some are a bit of a slap in the face. Some are a bit of a change because we hit a plateau, whatever it is. But those 10 conversations we have with clients this week to help them stay focused, help them have plans, help them stay on track, help them hit their goals. And if you feel like maybe you need a bit of a helping hand to hit your goals, go to fit-dad.club, book in a call. We'll close the gap between where you are to where you want to be and how we can help you get there. Guys, so also leave a review, rate this podcast, let us know. Did you like it? Did you love it? Send it to someone who also would like it? Comment below. And also let us know if you want us to do a podcast on anything particular so we can help you more. But that is it from me for this week. Travis Jones from the Fit Dad Club, and I will talk to you next week on the podcast.